You're listening to the Custom Built Podcast, and today we're talking about how life is lifing, and it's been hard, guys. So, this isn't about renovation tips or home stuff, but this is definitely life stuff. So, stay tuned. So, I don't know. Life's been really tough lately, and I know that I'm not alone in that sentiment just based off of conversations I've had with friends and family and just my experiences around me. So, I wanted to just take a pause because this is about that, just taking a pause, acknowledging that life gets tough sometimes, a lot of times, not just sometimes, right? And that we get to celebrate these wins in between the hard times. And so I felt like this was a really important time to just really remember that we are working hard through it all and that shouldn't go unrecognized. So, you know, it's been tough here. We've had a lot of personal growth, personal health, just we've been feeling it as a family, like each of us individually, as a unit, as just all of it, just big things happening, and we're going through it, and there's just so much growth and health. So it's not like it's bad. It's just a lot. It's just heavy stuff, and it's really great for it is like the growth and the changes and like the maturity that we're experiencing is tremendous and inspiring in so many ways, but it's also so testing and so exhausting. It is exhausting, but it's also like, I know I just said it, but it just also feels really incredible, and I'm excited to get to like the other side of like this hardship. But I've just seen like so much. Like we're trying to like support our kids who they're having their own experiences. So like how can we support them and give them their emotional support so they can be emotionally mature and able to handle whatever comes at them when they get older. So, going through that, they're getting older, so they're having different experiences in school. They're noticing different stuff. They're trying things out. So it's just when we get home from the end of the day, sometimes it's really been challenging. And like I said, individually, like we're all just going through big stuff. And I had a call earlier today with a couple of friends. We do these weekly or bi-weekly calls. And like I said, I know I'm not alone in this because I'm hearing their experiences and their heavy moments. And what I'm hearing through all of that, though, is we're still showing up for ourselves. Like there is still consistency and there's a strength in it. And I could tell you like 10 years ago, like that 10-year ago Katie would have been like shut down, totally defeated, curled up on a in a ball on the sofa and just like binge watching TV all day long and just like going into like some crazy deep depression. Um it would be like this crazy spiral of like self-worth and what am I doing with my life and like all these big things, like those big feelings that I just never really allowed myself to feel or think about. So I would just completely shut down and just to think about who I was then and who I am now. And like if she had to go through what I'm going through now, like I can't imagine how she'd be handling that. And, you know, I learned that lesson a long time ago. My dad passed when I was pregnant with my daughter, my first kid. He passed just a couple of months before she was born. So, you know, and at that time I was going to school for my master's degree. And I knew at that moment, like, I had to make a choice. Like, it was either spiral and be out of control and, like, go into, like, this deep, dark space, or I can figure out how to move forward and know, and have this heaviness with me. And I wouldn't say I did it the most healthy way. I think I didn't realize what I was doing, which was like burying it and not fully allowing myself the grief because I was afraid to feel. Because if I felt too much, I knew I'd be in that hole. because I had a baby I needed to take care of, and I had school I wanted to, like, I had big goals and big dreams, and it wasn't just me anymore. Like, even when it was just like me and my husband, it was still like it felt more just me, and it wasn't the situation anymore. So I had to make that choice. And so in that moment, it wasn't the most healthiest because it was a pushing down, it was a suppressing, it wasn't really feeling, it was a numbing, and then having postpartum depression. Not diagnosed with my daughter, but I was diagnosed with my son. But I do think it probably was just all covered and hidden, and just came to a head at that moment. And you know, I started making those shifts though, as like in that moment, and just seeing that growth from that to now and who I am has been so incredible. And I think I forget to celebrate that because I sometimes go back into like these old habits, or like I find myself reacting a way that was more of like an old Katie reaction, and I get really hard on myself, and maybe that's something you might do too. And I want to remind us that it's okay. It's okay that that happens. And also remember where you were and where you are now. Like, I see these posts a lot that's like, 5 years ago, I was dreaming of having the life I have now. And that has been so true. And I lose sight of that sometimes. And it's not exactly where I wanted to go with this podcast and this episode, but I felt like I needed to paint that picture a little bit for you and give you a little bit of where we are. But I mean, we had this big celebration for Mother's Day. We had, the family and some friends came over. It was so beautiful and it was so nice and relaxing. And I can't remember like truly this like feeling of like comfort like that in a while with in like an event. I don't know. And it just felt healthy and mature, and it was great. And I got drunk. I don't even drink, but I got drunk that day. It was fun. And then I decided to throw a pot on my throwing wheel, my pottery wheel, because that was what I wanted to celebrate with when I got my builder's license that I was going after for a long time. I had set this goal few years ago, and I finally got it, and it's a big deal. And I wanted to show that the kids, like, I went after a goal and I did it because it's important to celebrate our wins. So I got a pottery wheel, I bought the clay, and I was like, I'm going to do it today. And I actually I'm not good, I'm not bad. I'm not techniqued. I'm learning. So, I threw this little pot, and it wasn't that bad for being pretty drunk. And, the kids were so excited. It was just like a happy moment, and we just had so much fun, and we giggled, and, and my kids were like, I'm going to do that. So, we're going to do that together. But it's so important to like have these moments and like of clarity and reflection to really appreciate the journey that we've been on, because the journey isn't linear. And I'm sure you've heard this before, right? It is not a linear journey. The finish line is like it's constantly not moving and shifting, but sometimes that is, or maybe our track is going up and it's going down, but it's not linear. And that has been something I've really just been coming to terms with. I think I talked about it in like one of my last podcasts, or maybe on Instagram. But my journey has just really come full circle from what I thought I was going to do to what I'm doing now, and having a better understanding of what it looks like. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an interior designer. Like, that was what I was going for. So I chased that. And, I ended up going to school for sculpture, my undergrad. And I'm glad I did, because I learned that I love building with my hands. And I've gained a skill set that I still use today. I mean, like I said, I was just throwing pots on a pottery wheel because I love clay. Like, it's something I love to do, but I also love to build things. And, drawing and 2D art is not my forte. I don't typically enjoy it as much, but like creating and building things, I love it. It took me to a career path where I was bench building light fixtures out of copper and brass, like bending the metal and soldering it together and creating these beautiful fixtures that are like all over Charleston and all over the world. And I mean, that was such a proud job that I got to do, because I was putting something that I loved to do into a like a manufacturing thing that's just not known so much anymore. It's all manufactured by robots and everything else. So like to be able to hand build, bench build these light fixtures and like see them out in the world, it was just something so special. Even if it wasn't like a job I was going to go somewhere, but like it was incredible to just be able to do that, and really fulfilling in that moment. And so I feel like I'm getting off topic, but it's just brought me through all these different wheelhouses and journeys, and and then I set out to flip houses. So it brought me to project managing, which reminded me that I wanted to come back to, I love the interior architectural side of interior design. And so I went to school, I got my master's degree in interior architecture and design, and said that's not it, and I don't want to start all over as like a newbie interior designer. I just don't think this is it for me. And so the project managing, opened up different doors, and set a new goal for getting my builder's license. And now I see that I get to do all of it. I get to build, I get to design, I get to do all aspects of the things that I love to do, because I kept going after these dreams, and I kept my focus on and pivoting. I had that was my last podcast, one of the last two, is this pivot that I've made in my life, and they've always brought me back to this full circle of why you got to keep your eye on like a bigger picture, and it's okay to change it up if it's not feeling right. So I had my eye set on interior design, and I got into it, and I said I can't do another few years in this. This isn't it. Like I know this isn't the end for me. Like this is not the career. But I did it. I still accomplished something that I didn't do it just to do it. It came down to like I'm so thankful that I went after this path, and now I see that clearly that this isn't it. But I mean I love it still. Like I love coming together, and now again I see it all coming full circle. So the point is, our journeys aren't linear. They're very up and down. So in this time, where I'm hearing like from my friends who are building their own businesses, from my own experience of trying to build my businesses, we are not where we thought we would be at this point. And that's okay, because life keeps lifing. That's what we say. Like life is lifing. We got this going on. We had to go do this. Like, and you make these choices, and you make the choices that make the most sense, and what are right for you right then. And that's okay. And it's okay that you're not where you thought you would be, because you also need to celebrate what you've already accomplished. So you might have all these things happening in your life, but are you still showing up? Are you still showing up consistently when you can, when you have the energy in the moment? Then celebrate that. If that looks like you only got 5 minutes to do something one night, you sent an email, celebrate that. If you made a hard decision and it was hard, like it was exhausting, but you knew you had to do it, celebrate that. I want you to remember and just really honor the fact that you are still showing up, and you're still being consistent, and you're doing it, even when life is throwing everything at you at once. While you're trying to build the life you love and you're proud of, and you see it's within your grasp, and you're just trying really hard to get there, and you're so close and you know it, but you're like you're what is that? It's like Donkey Kong, like the old Donkey Kong on like Nintendo or Atari, where Mario is like climbing up and he gets hit with a rock and he gets thrown down. That's what I'm thinking of. Like you're so close to the top, you're so close to getting Donkey Kong, and then you just get hit with something else. And you're like, I gotta start over. And it's not starting over, right? It's not necessarily starting over. Sometimes you get the cheat code and you're still on the same level. You're able to get there and you just need to redo it. But it's okay, because you have new lessons. You have a newer clarity because you've been here once before, or you've been here and you've done something a little different. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful path, even when it's hard and it's exhausting and you're burnt out and you need to take a break. So take a break without the guilt. Can you do that? I know that's so hard. It's so hard to just be like, I just need a breather. And you're like, but I really need to also do this for my business. Like, can we take out the word need and should and could or would? Like, can we say, I get to work on my business, but I also get to do this? I get to have a break right now. I get to have a break. I get to have a break without the guilt. I get to have my coffee while it's hot, and I get to read my favorite book. Or I get to take a walk for some fresh air because what's going to come from that walk? Maybe nothing, but maybe you'll get some new ideas and a new spark and then you get back and you're inspired, right? So celebrate that, try to give yourself a break and just honor the fact that you are showing up and you're being consistent. It's just so important that we are giving ourselves that permission to pause and also the permission to celebrate. You showed up for your kids, you showed up for yourself, you showed up for your family, you showed up for your business, and now you're going to pause. You're going to take a moment, you're going to celebrate it, and you're going to pause. And you're going to reflect and you're going to do what you need to do because you're here. And I think I'm making an assumption that if you're here, then you're somebody who values growth, personal growth, and you are on this path and journey of that personal growth, and that you're hearing, I'm hoping that you are hearing that I see you, that you're important, and that I see the work you're putting in, and that you deserve a break, and you deserve to celebrate where you are, and you get to celebrate who you are and who you are becoming and who you have already become. Those are huge things to remember. And just, you're amazing. I just want to say that I'm proud for you for where you are, for how you're working and showing up for yourself and for your family and for who you need to show up for. And that you're setting up the path forward, even if it's taken a little bit longer than you thought or hoped it would. So I want to remind you that it's okay that if you're not right there yet, it's okay if you shifted, and it's okay if you pivoted, and if it's definitely okay if it's slower. So I want to celebrate. I want to wrap up with a couple affirmations here, but I'm going to read it because I have it written down and I'm not very good at memorizing. Well, that's not true. I haven't taken the time to memorize it, so I'm going to read it to you because I still think it's really important. So you're showing up, and that's not a small feat. You're not failing. You're in the thick of it. I see you. I celebrate you. And I hope today you celebrate you too. So maybe you might want to write some things down from this and do a few things that, give you some acts of self-kindness today. And so can you write down 3 things that you're proud of today? So 3 things that you are proud of. It doesn't have to be that you did something today. Just 3 things that you are proud of that you've done within the last month, within this year. Just 3 things that you're proud of. Can you take a guilt-free break, even if it's a 5-minute break? But try to push it to 15 minutes minimum, right? Give yourself a quiet break, a real quiet break. Now, with your kids still running around and you're just like, give me a minute, like go and separate, go take 15 minutes. Can you do that for yourself today? And finally, one more thing you can do is share this episode with somebody who really needs to hear this, that they are amazing, that they are showing up, that they are doing the work, and that it's okay to slow down and take a break, to slow down life. Not obviously, we might feel like things are happening slowly in the growth that we want to see, but slow down everything around us. And it's okay to take a break, and it's okay that you are exactly where you need to be right now. And remember that. So I hope this was a good episode for you. I hope you were able to connect with it. I hope it was helpful to hear. If so, please do share and make sure you leave a review and you subscribe. I'll get back to more home renovations and things that you can do for those renovations to get prepared. But I do think these moments are really important to share, especially, I like to be honest and clear with you. I think this is more of, I see this as a custom build of like your life and your house can't really be a custom build of anything if it doesn't reflect you too. And I know that might sound a little abstract, but I truly feel like your home is an extension of who you are. So we'll get back to that, but these are moments that we also need to have and to celebrate and to acknowledge. So I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you come back next week, and we'll see what's in store then. Sometimes I kind of just decide on the fly what we're going to talk about and what's affecting me, and I try to make it relevant for you. So have a beautiful day. I hope you celebrate all your wins. It doesn't need to be 3. I hope there's more, but start with 3. All right? Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful week. I'll catch you next time. Thank you for hanging out today. If you liked what you heard, please make sure you hit subscribe, and I hope to see you again next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.